beyond AT&T. And there were points during that first year when we wished we would just fail. And then we could go back to Bell Labs, get our jobs back, and sit down in a lunchroom and tell everybody the adventures we had, trying to start this business. Well, toward the end of that year, there was a fellow by the name of Victor Lawrence who was running a modem group. And a few years earlier, when I had my first supervisor job, I noticed that his name came up for promotion. And most of the people in the room said, this guy is not really supervisor material. He was at the top of the performance ladder. PhD in electrical engineering. He's from Ghana originally. He had gone to school in London. I don't know where he got his PhD. I think London University is where he got his PhD. Really sharp guy. Top of the performance ladder. Everybody acknowledged. Not ready for promotion. I said, okay, I'm a new supervisor. I don't really understand this. The next year, same thing happened. I went to the director. I said, this doesn't seem right. This guy's top of the performance ladder. Why isn't he promotable? Well, they say he doesn't have the fire in his belly. Well, why don't we ask him? And so anyway, make a long story short, he ultimately got promoted. And so by the time I was starting this business, he was a supervisor. We were really close to going broke toward the end of our first year. I got a call from Victor. And Victor said, hey, Dave, I think I need one of your products. And I said, oh, that's great, Victor. He said, tell me what I need. So you need a TAS 1010 telephone network simulator. It costs $16,950. Fill out the PO, send it to us. He said, no, you don't understand. I have a lot of money I need to spend before the end of the year. I think I need more than one. Well, by the end of the conversation, Victor had bought 5 of these telephone network simulators that cost about 17 grand each. What's that? $85,000 in one order. And in those days, that was a lot of money. And that really got us through that first year. And I don't know if he was feeling grateful for the fact that I had stood up for him years earlier, or he just saw some entrepreneurs who were trying to make it and wanted to support them, or he really needed all these products. He ended up using them all. But, that was a life-saving situation for us. I also want to say on the internal side of the business, things were tough. We would have to go out and hire people in this little 3 or 4 person company. We weren't in my basement anymore, but our first location after the basement was called the Red Bank Mini Mall. We were in the basement. On one side was a tanning salon. On the other side was a travel agency. At the other end of the hall for entertainment was a modeling school. So we were in this little 800 square foot place, and we're trying to hire people. Well, we'd put ads in the Asbury Park Press, and people would come. Well, we didn't understand at that time that the people you get through that process are not necessarily going to be your best people. So we had some really interesting experiences. I have a chapter in the book that I call Nuts, Misfits, and Rejects. But that summarizes kind of my feeling at the time. We hired a administrative assistant and a manufacturing manager, both of them young people. We went to a trade show in 1986 in Atlanta. We get back from the trade show. 2 days later, there are 2 letters on my chair in the morning. Both of them resigned. Now, we had 5 employees. 2 of them resigned. That's a pretty big hit to any company. But they just got disgruntled because they were asked to go to this trade show, which I thought was an honor. And they thought that they were somehow their freedom was being limited. They were young people. Maybe they had other plans. So they quit. Then I hired a bookkeeper, and she was tremendous for the first couple of months. But then she started getting sloppy, started missing days. And one day, she was out. And the American Express, what they call management report, came in. And the receptionist brought it to my desk, and I look at it, and I see some charge from the Fashion Bug. And I said, I don't remember any business expenses at the Fashion Bug. And so I called my partner in, and he went and got his thing, and he had some bogus charges on his too. Well, long story short, she was forging signatures and stealing money from us. That was the end of our bookkeeper. we hired a manufacturing manager to replace this young guy, and this guy was tremendous. He was a Brooklyn guy, older guy, really experienced, just did more than just manufacturing. He did the purchasing as well. Well, one afternoon, I get a report. This guy's out on the shipping dock trying to feel the breasts of the shipping receiving clerk. And, you know, we just hired this guy. We needed a manufacturing manager. But I couldn't have a sexual predator so we had to get rid of him. Then we hire our first software development person. And I was very excited about this because up until that time, I was a software development person, and I wanted to get out of that. So we hired a young Asian woman who was really sharp. I think she went to Rutgers. Sat down with her. She understood immediately what needed to be done, started doing good work. 2 weeks later, I go in to sit down and go over where things stand with her. I notice she's a little nervous and jumpy during the meeting. I get up to go. She hands me a letter. 2 weeks! And so it turns out that she had gotten an offer from Bell Communications Research. So why would I want to work for your crappy little company when I got this job from Bell Communications? So this is the kind of thing that we had going on. And we really did some soul searching after that. My co-founders, Steve, Charles, and I, we sat down. Because every time somebody left, we would try to figure out, except in the case of the predator, we would try to figure out, is it us or is it them? And so we really decided that we needed to change our whole approach to finding people and to keeping people. And we really needed to market ourselves as just what we were, a small company with a lot of opportunity. You develop something today, 6 months later is going out the back door. It's not like in the old days where you develop something, it might or might not ship. You're going to see the results of what you do in this company. You're very important to this company. Everything is under this roof. You walk back here, here's where manufacturing is. You walk over here, here's where development is. If you want that kind of experience, this is the place to be. If you don't want that kind of experience, you know, go work for AT&T. And so we were able to filter people and find people who were suitable for our environment, and we started building up the company and having some success. And I came to a different appreciation of the whole racial issue as a result of being in business. And one of the things, the most important things I found was that race is always a factor in interactions between people of different races. I hired a sales rep firm to help with our sales outside of the local area because we were trying to expand our sales. These were white guys because all the sales rep firms at that time in electronics were white guys. The first meeting we had, one of the guys said to me, "Dave, we're just like whores. I want you to understand. You don't have to like us. We don't have to like you. Our job is to get in, get out, and get paid. Just like whores." I said, that's an interesting analogy, metaphor. Sales hoes, okay. So we hired these guys. And on one of the first sales calls up in the Boston area, I'll never forget, it was a company called Concord Data Systems. We go in, and there's a guy there, there's a group of guys, and I'm giving a demo of our product. And there's this one guy in a biker outfit. There was actually one black guy there. He was actually the chief engineer at this company. But there was a group of white guys and one guy who had this biker outfit on. And as I'm giving the demo and soliciting questions, he keeps just, you know, nudging me, just, you know, being a hard ass, you know, and to make it simple. Asking annoying questions, and when I answered them, he would say whatever feature we had wasn't important, and he always needed something else. So I was just losing it. It was one of my first sales calls that wasn't AT&T, wasn't people that I knew, and I'm sweating, and I'm, you know. So at one point, I just lose it. I say, "Why did you have us come here?" And he said, "I don't know. We ordered your competitor's product 2 weeks ago." And at that point, you know, my fists are balling up. And so the sales rep said, wait a minute, you ordered the competitor's product? The competitor was called AEA. He didn't say the competitor's product. You ordered AEA's product already? The guy said, yeah. So the rep looked at him again and said, when are they going to deliver it? And the biker guy said, well, I don't know. They say they're all backed up. He said, if TAS can deliver you this product in 2 weeks, will you get it from us? The guy said, yeah, we probably would. We got the sale. And so what that told me, and I had this occur so many times, so many other times, race was clearly a factor. It was a factor for me, and I think it was a factor for him. But it wasn't the main factor. It wasn't the deciding factor in that interaction. And you learn in sales that there are objections. There are always objections. Nobody just wants to buy something. Everybody wants to throw something up there and have you deal with it. Well, race is like another one of those objections. And we had to overcome that in order to get the sale. In the case of employees, we had to justify ourselves to our employees. Why should you work for us instead of somebody else? In the case of our suppliers, we had to justify ourselves to them. Why should you break your neck to get this product to me on time, small company, when you could spend your time servicing a larger company? So, you know, we probably had to do more of that than a larger company would do, or maybe a white-owned company would do. But the fact that we had to do that made us better business people, and we were always ready for it. You know, it's kind of like if you play basketball and you play with 5-pound ankle weights, your legs get strong. And if you ever take the ankle weights off, you know, you're Michael Jordan. You know, we grew the company, and by late 80s, we were over $6 million in sales, which at that time was, you know, good money. But then in the early 90s, around the time of the Gulf War, we had a downturn. And our sales really leveled off. Our profits almost went to zero. And we really didn't know what to do. So I went to see somebody at Bell Labs by the name of Victor Lawrence. By this time, Victor is a director. He's been named an AT&T fellow. You know, this is the guy who wasn't ready for promotion. So at any rate, I sat down with Victor, and you know, we had these discussions every 6 months or so. I said, Victor, you know, we really need to come up with a new product. What do you think we should do? And he said, well, what you need to do is go into wireless. Wireless is big. It's getting bigger. You know, at that time, everybody had the AMPS phone. But he saw what was on the horizon, and he said, you really need to do this. I said, Victor, I don't know how we're going to do it. We don't have any wireless expertise in-house. I really don't understand the applications. He said, well, my friend David Goodman at Rutgers University is giving a seminar in a couple weeks. I think you need to go to that seminar. So I went. I learned all about wireless technology at a high level. I learned what was needed in terms of test instrumentation, a device that simulated the propagation effects that you have in a mobile environment, whether you're traveling in a car or walking or on a plane. The signal fading that occurs needed to be simulated repeatably in a laboratory environment. So we said, we have a product we can do. And so ultimately, we did that. And to make a long story short, the company took off in the wireless arena. The company today is still in Eatontown. It's a division of a company that we sold to in 1995. My second in command is now the president, and the other second in command is the senior vice president of research and development. Last year, they did $100 million. And within the next month or so, they're going to cross $1 billion in cumulative sales. And this is from 3 guys who started this business in the basement and weren't necessarily so sophisticated. If you don't mind, I want to just read you a couple of paragraphs from the end of the book, and this will be the end of my presentation. It's not the end of the book, it's near the end. But it talks about, it illustrates how I thought, and I think my partners thought too, that our business was more than just a business. It was a cause. We had just sold the company, and we were leaving our attorney's offices, and for the first time, we were independently wealthy